quickly just want to thank Sandy and others for inviting the social worker to attend this conference. We'll talk a little bit about the Emerging Scholars Interdisciplinary Network, and in many ways, many of the scholars and presenters already set the stage for some of the things that gave rise to ESIN. Let me tell you quickly about my personal travels first of all. I came through many pipeline programs from high school when I was encouraged to be an engineer and attending community pipeline programs in high school and traveling an hour and a half to do that, all the way through my acceptance into SUNY at SUNY Stony Brook and through the Education Opportunity Program, and then into the Counseling and Social Work Education, National Institute of Mental Health, pre-doctoral fellowship program. All these programs really helped me to be here today, and accepted 2 are currently funded. So I'm one of the few who benefit from that, but again, I know there are many who have lost that opportunity because they're no longer funded, including the NIMH fellowship, which many people know about. The Emerging Scholars Interdisciplinary Network came about from a simple thing. I was accepted into a postdoctoral position at University of Pennsylvania, and I was happy to be accepted. But I spent most of my time talking with colleagues, one colleague at RAND, and another colleague who was still in the doctoral program. And we spent every Friday, one, to keep our sanity, we had to talk with each other. Because we were isolated, we were alone, we were trying to figure out a lot of important questions. Not that anyone was purposely isolating us, it's just we were the only ones where we were at. So that tended to leave us isolated. Many of us lacked some of what I call the soft skills related to being successful in the academy. We were just figuring out how to turn dissertations into manuscripts with that advice. We were just figuring out how to think about grant ideas. I was introduced to the concept of specific aims at that point in my life. So we really needed to learn things that we did not know we didn't know. So again, we said, okay, we have to continue to do this. So what we decided was we will share what little we did know. And when we realized that when we shared what little we did know, because things came across our desk, how important that was. So people call that a network and social networking, and you have other nice ways to describe that. So we decided that we would form the Emerging Scholars Interdisciplinary Network from that. So it was 3 people. And one of those people was my wife, who was the only doctoral student engaged in the process. Now, ESIN today now stands at 1,100 members across disciplines from psychology, sociology, nursing, social work, education, and it's broad. It's broader than I know. I knew everyone in the network at one point in time. That's no longer feasible nor possible. And it has grown primarily because we have continued to focus on the effort of getting people what they need as soon as we can get it to them. And what that did, and let me talk about it in this way, what it did is address a couple of things. One, we needed access to good information, and in many ways, the way the academy is structured, social networking through your professors, through your senior mentors, was the primary way you learned about opportunities you got. And many of us were outside of those, even though we were with some very good intended people. Our relationships didn't blossom as well. We struggled around what we should study and how we should study it. And that left some of us outside of those networks. So the primary model for information sharing and networking, we were left out of, so we formed our own in that realm. 2, we were all dealing with the single faculty replacement model. If we could have one black, one Asian, one woman, that was the strategy of success. And we were struggling against that framework, particularly from those who were hired. So that was an issue as well. And then I think that gave rise to what we wanted to do. So what did we try to do? My primary goal was to create a listserv. That listserv developed into a vibrant online community called the Emerging Scholars Interdisciplinary Network. We structured it in a way with many sophisticated tools, too many for me to go into right now, that allowed those with no money to do the things that many of you are trying to do, which was really how to begin to connect with each other, identify each other, and that's why primarily our members are primarily postdocs and junior faculty with a smattering of doctoral students. And it continues to grow only through word of mouth and some of the programming we've been able to do over the last 7 years, and I'll tell you about that. So, one, we made a strategy that we thought was cost effective to address the information loop. 2, we successfully were able to identify and recruit and find each other, which made it very important because we kept hearing, you can't find it. You can't find it. Well, here we are. You don't need to find us here as it stands, and now all we have to do is partner with you to plug us into the opportunities that you have available. And I'll get to why that's important later on. So we created that. Then I was fortunate enough that I realized if I do well as a scientist, I can create opportunities for this network. And everywhere I go, every university has been gracious enough to give me some support, including the University of Michigan, to expand and keep our programs. So in many ways, as a junior person, I had to offer and sacrifice part of my scholarship as part of this process. But what I'm doing is not gallant. It's almost expected because I could point to many ethnic minorities who made sacrifices in a similar way to try to do that. And I found a way to do that. So we developed 3 cornerstones for our program. 1 is important to get information so the network is formed. 2 is important to find resources to allow scholars to participate in research training that to strengthen their statistical and methodological skills so they can answer the questions that they came up with. We did that. 1, we were gracious enough to partner with the Institute, the Inter-University Consortium, ICPSR, I'm almost forgetting all of that, stands for Michigan. So they had a wonderful summer program, so we connected with them, and we launched a summer fellowship program that to this day has supported the development of over 120 scholars. Bringing them to Michigan for 4 weeks of training, supplemented with career development workshops, supplemented with ongoing consultation by myself throughout the year. And we're able to do that, and we did that from 2005 to 2012. Money ran out, and that was difficult. 2, we also maintain our online community, which again is the cornerstone of how we're interacting with each other. And then the third thing I try to do is that we try to form what we call research working groups. And this was the other challenge in the discussion at the time for many of us. We had questions that, for some, we were told those were not important or as relevant or not primary questions. So we needed to find an intellectual space where we could ask questions about ethnic minority populations in the way that we needed to address them. So forming working groups of small size of 5 to 8 was the best way for us to do that, and to engage in activities like focusing on special journals, focusing on special issues. We're able to advance some of the work, and these scholars are going on to do very well. In fact, for instance, in my area, which is suicide among Black Americans, we worked the journal to have the only peer-reviewed journal ever to focus on suicide among Black Americans ever. Similarly, other groups are doing things for different Asians and different group populations. So our working groups were producing real results in terms of publications and journals and consistent issues. So our working group was another key part of the model that we continue to do. So we're unique in the sense that we're interdisciplinary in scope. We're broad across the social behavioral sciences. We focus on the very important what I call generalized skills that all researchers need to do. Methods, statistics, and some of the soft skills. We focus on that core that allows us to do this broad group. We provide career development consultation. We seek a long and standing relationship. You don't pay any money to get into ESIN, and part of the principle of ESIN is that you mentor other people. So we have a peer mentoring model that works very well, and with support of senior mentors, we're able to connect people to more senior mentors in areas that we're not expert in. We connect to existing programs. We don't try to build anything that we don't have to build. So our goal is to try to connect, because our goal is to increase the density, the population, and that's how we measure outcomes. So I appreciate Sam's comment about that. And we use robust tools that we find are very important. We use online technology because it's cost effective and it can be made very efficient and allows people to say, only give me what I need, not what you think I need. So we create mechanisms for doing that. So our successes has been really many I don't even count, but they let me know. They do. Because when I see someone, it meant so much to me just to be able to connect. So what we do, we're able to, again, help many scholars move through and go on to tenure. And I know that over these years, since our 12 years of operation. We formed these many working groups, and many of them continue without the initial support. For instance, we were gracious enough to get some early Robert Wood Johnson support to support some of that, and that really worked out well. But again, that faded, but the scholars continue to do their work in these groups. We're able to include, again, over 120 scholars in our summer fellowship program, and again, many of them went on to get tenure and work in many fabulous places, too many for me to name right now. So let me offer this, because I can get into a lot of details, we'll get into that in dialogue. Here's my recommendation on issues around diversity. I encourage this association and its partners to be courageous with setting specific and measurable goals for ethnic minority populations as part of your evaluation matrix. Basically saying what Sam said. Know whether or not you're making a difference by the numbers of ethnic minorities that you have in your ranks. Everything else could get lost in between, as you expect powerful for that. Two, I asked and I look for, we're looking for partners to create a national research mentoring network. That's how we're trying to rebrand EFIN. And we can partner with you to make available what you have to offer to those who might be thinking that this is relevant to them. So we wanted to help to distribute your information, but be a partner with you in creating more opportunities. So we ask, and hopefully we can find some members in this association who want to help to create this broader infrastructure. You cannot do it by yourself. The funding is not there, and I think this partnership and grouping together and strategizing is a cost-effective approach to doing this. And finally, we need a lot of good mentors out there and connecting with junior investigators. But what we're talking about is also the importance that just because you're successful doesn't mean you can mentor. So we want to partner with groups and be content specific, because economists need certain mentoring that a social worker cannot provide unless I walk, talk, and act like an economist. If I did. And but also we know there are many of the skills that we're talking about cuts across all disciplines, and we can look to do that. So I'll stop right there.